And going off of that, I'm going to talk about something just right off the jump that's making me hate fucking sports, particularly basketball. It's just been since I've really started paying attention to the Kings, which is really when I met Philanthropist back in middle school. I've become a fan, essentially. And I've been to games before that and sort of liked them. But one thing that did deter me away from paying attention to them so much was just how bad of a franchise they are. And, after getting rid of the Maloofs, I was hopeful. They stayed in Sacramento, and it just seemed like things were heading in the right fucking direction. And then that brings us to today. We suck. Ass. Okay? Lost to the Magic today in not the playoffs, but just one of the 8 regular season games that are in the bubble. And it wasn't just a loss. We lost in an embarrassing fashion. They lost by only 16 points, but throughout the game, it was way more than that. And Luke Walton, to me, is a big problem. Vlade, with these draft picks, is a big problem. I'm talking about Marvin Bagley a little bit. Him not being on the court is a problem. I'm going to let Philanthropist get into Luke Walton and his schemes. They're a big fucking problem. And I think just in general, the franchise of the Kings is just a huge problem for the NBA. They cannot seem to get it right, even though they're picking consistently within, I wouldn't even say top 10, like top 7, and they still can't get shit right, man. I am furious after today. I intentionally didn't watch it because I had a feeling something like this would happen, and I didn't want to have to deal with it. But here I am. Anyways, fucking mad. I'm about to fucking drink myself to fucking death. You see this, what you do to me? Vlade, Luke Walton, Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley. I'm getting fucking pissed. I'm going to let you go, Philanthropist. Tell me what the fuck is making you mad about the Sacramento Kings.
Listen, man.
That picture behind you, man. That's how I feel. That's how I feel right now.
I'm feeling like Mike Bibby in Game 6 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals. It's rough. It's rough being a Kings fan. Really, we're like the Cleveland Browns of basketball in terms of being a consistently poorly ran franchise. Time and time again, even through ownership changes, we maintain somewhat of a discombobulated front office or an ownership and management situation consistently. I'm really drained at this point. I've realized that, my whole entire life of fanhood with the Kings is based off of 4 years of success out of a 35-year team history that happened when I was 3 to 7 years old. And I've been subjected to misery, heartbreak, and I just cannot stop loving this team for some reason. But, that's the common bond between all Kings fans, is that we just love this team in spite of all the stupidity and all of the
we love the
basketball.
City. That's what it is.
It's a bond between the city and the team, and God knows it has nothing to do with fucking good basketball. I'll tell you that much. As far as Luke Walton goes, he's not a good basketball coach. He needs to go. His schemes are suited for a team that wants to slow the ball down, run half-court sets, and play defense. It just so happens that our personnel are built for a fast-paced, run-the-court, quick 7 seconds or less type system. I don't know what in the world happened last year with Dave Yeager in the front office to make them pass up on him and fire him. We clearly had much more room for improvement, but we went 39-43, had a very quick start. We're in the playoff race late into the season. We were playing energized. He seemed to have maximized the talent of De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield. Even Marvin Bagley, when he was on the court, was looking very good. This year, with Luke Walton, really we've looked completely uninspired and dejected, other than a few good stretches where we happen to catch an easy part of the schedule and string together some wins. Really, I'm not saying that Luke Walton's style of basketball can't work. I just don't think it can work here. I think Vlade, he's done enough good things to stave off being fired, but overall, the total package, he's going to be remembered for his colossal mistakes. At this point, not picking on Luka is going to go down as one of the worst draft picks in history. And that's no disrespect to Marvin Bagley. I think he has a future in the NBA. I think he has a lot of potential, but he is likely never going to be 75% of what Luka Doncic will end up being. And even past that, anybody else in that top five, we're talking Jaren Jackson, Trae Young, anybody other than Marvin Bagley was the pick to make. 8-2. He went number one, but yeah, even if we somehow ended up with him, if Luka went number one, as he should have, it's just, I think if the Kings weren't picking number two, I think Marvin Bagley probably would have gone seventh in that draft. I really do. And that's no disrespect to him at all. It was a good draft. I don't really know where we're going from here. I don't know if Vivek, our owner, is looking at overhauling the front office, but what I can say is that for the 15th year in a row, I'm tuned out for the rest of the season. At this point, I hope we lose as many games as possible to improve our lottery odds, which is about the same as I do every year late in the season.
We'll never get that first pick either.
No, we won't. And if we do, it's going to be in a bad draft like it is this year. So hang in there, Kings fans. Law of averages. Eventually, we're going to have to get good just off of dumb, stupid luck. It happens to everybody at some point. And at this point, we're talking about one of the longest playoff droughts in sports history. So hang in there. I hope better times are coming. And in the meantime, just have a little alcohol when you watch the games, because nothing else is really going to make it better.
Young E, would you like to comment on the Kings?
I mean, it says a lot to me that I've really spent most of this time where we've been without sports, not really too excited for basketball to come back. And it has nothing to do with, I don't really watch much of basketball outside of the Kings, and I'm really just here for the Kings. And I knew coming back into it, it was just going to be another disappointment. So right now, just living through disappointment. Gonna let it be what it is. I've stopped watching the games. Hope they get a good lottery pick. Same goes for the Diamondbacks. Been hurt by that, but absolutely fucking awful. I hope they go get the first pick in the draft. They're just terrible. Absolutely terrible. By far look like the worst team in the league right now. So as far as it's going for me, I hope the Kings do a full rebuild. I hope they get Vlade out of there. I hope they get Luke out of there. I don't know what the fuck they were doing getting rid of Dave Yeager. I think the scheme he was running fit a lot better for the team, and we could tell that coming out the gates this year that Walton's scheme was just not going to fit and mesh with the Kings players. I think the players are not made for that scheme. And just the other night, I watched the opening night game, which they also lost, and I probably shouldn't have watched. But I saw De'Aaron and Buddy and everybody trying to run the court, and then I'd see Luke be like, slow it down, and I'm just like, when they're running the court, they're getting fast break points and scoring and shooting at a higher percentage, but then they slow it down, and it turns into one of the 50 turnovers they make throughout the game. I think they had 32 that night. It was really fucking bad. But, it is what it is. The Kings are never going to get better. I don't have much hope for them going forward. I think I need to find a new basketball team.
I got to say, too, man, I fed into this as well, but leading into the bubble starting up, there was a lot of talk about, hey, why isn't anybody mentioning the Kings? They would run a poll, and it'd be like, who's going to grab the 8 seed in the West? And it would have the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, and the Spurs. And be like, what the hell? Why didn't you include the Kings? I'm not trying to hear it, man. Look, don't talk about you're not getting attention. Then you come in, you lose 2 games in a row, and you get blown out by 40 points. All right.
That's
why no one's talking about us.
We want
to be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair, De'Aaron went out and actually played. He's going out there trying to play and win.
No,
I don't feel like
as he should. Yeah, as he should.
because he was offended by all that shit, and he really said he was going to come out and play, and he has. So I don't
Buddy
know.
Hield also did a lot of talking, and he's not been playing that well.
Buddy Hield
Yeah.
played awful in the opening game. He was
He's
like
he's not being
he was like
utilized correctly by Walton.
He was still 2 for 15 and just kept fucking hucking up shots and not
Hey,
passing.
that's okay though. That's his role. You know, you don't want your shooters to stop shooting, even if they're having a bad night. That's when it really gets bad.
It was just, to me, there was just a couple, like 3 possessions where he just pulled up a contested shot when he
Yeah.
had somebody wide open in the paint, whether it was Harrison Barnes or Harry
Right.
Giles or whoever. It was just like, I get shoot until you can't shoot anymore, but at the same time, like if you got an open teammate
It's a
and
poor performance. Yeah. don't get me
you're
wrong.
1 for 13, it's time to pass the ball.
Well, that brings up a whole nother conversation about how Luke Walton has single-handedly stopped Buddy Hield's development and completely misutilized him for the entire year. But that's a whole nother 10-minute conversation, so we'll corner that one for the off season.
I will say, maybe the Marvin Bagley hate is a little too premature. It is his only his second year. I think we should probably give him another chance, another year. But if
He's
can't
looked
stay
really
healthy,
good while he plays. When he's on the
Yes.
court, he looks good.
so maybe he can salvage something, and there is hope there. But other than that, there's no other any other hope in that team besides maybe Fox. And I'm so used to this shit, like with the Dolphins, and it just hurts. Like how I can like both teams coast to coast, completely random, and yet they're on the same exact paths. And it's just really hard to see, especially like on a local level, because you see how much love that they get here in the city, and it's just really sad that they can't get it together after all these years. And I don't even know what they would do moving forward, but if I was, the GM, I see like too often with the Kings too is either they, one, let players go too early, or two, they hold on to them for too long. And I would just say if we're gonna go a complete rebuild, just go ahead and trade Buddy right away. Just while he's got some value to him. Don't let the whatever, if you're gonna keep Luke Walton next season or whatever coach you're gonna bring in, don't allow him to lose value because they're messing up again. I mean, that's how I feel about the future of the Kings. I really don't see next season being all that successful at all. So maybe trade Buddy, and then just be patient with Bagley. Maybe don't even let him play the first couple of weeks. Just make sure he's healthy, get him in. I would continue to develop Bogey and Fox. And really from there, I don't even know, man. Just fucking tank. Might as well. I don't even know what the draft's going to look like next year, but I don't even know what else to say. Like, Phil, what do you even think that they should do this offseason to improve? Or should they just blow it all up and just try to tank?
If we're talking from the very top, fire Vlade, fire the head coach, do an extensive search for new talent. Look, I love Vlade. His jersey's in the rafters. He's a Kings legend. Not a good GM so far. So I would say overhaul the front office, overhaul the coaching staff, bring in a GM before you bring in a coach. So that way there's no, discombobulation there about power. And that's the easy part. I mean, the hard part is finding good talent. You got to think if there's a X's and O's guy who's highly touted, he's most likely getting courted by bigger franchises than us that can offer him more money and that could offer him more prestige. So really, you need to find talent at the GM position. With the Kings, you got to think you're not getting free agents. You need to build through the draft. So my number one priority would be to have the best scouting department in the league, or one of them. You cannot miss in the draft if you're a mid-market team like Sacramento. So we need to have a good scouting department. We need to stop missing in the draft because it's killing us. It really is. And then beyond that, it is. And beyond that, I think we actually have a good core of talent right now. That's the one thing we do have going for us. So we have Buddy Hield locked up. Bogey is a free agent, so we'll see what happens with him. I would say try to maximize your assets. Fox is untouchable. Bagley, because of his injury history, he's probably super undervalued right now. So I would say hold on to him. And then Buddy and Bogey, I'd say you shop them, see how many picks you can get, see if you can get anything good for them. Then if not, just hold. and see what the next regime can do.
Would you try to maybe trade Harrison Barnes as well?
That's a tough one. I don't know how much value Harrison Barnes would have at this point. He might be worth more to us just as like a perennial starter, and then eventually he'll be a big expiring contract, which is very valuable because it gives you that cap space.
Yeah.
Really just depends where you're at in the standings. If you're obviously making a push for the playoffs or you're a contender, you don't want someone with that big of a contract swallowing that up because you might want to have that free for a big free agent push. But if you're rebuilding, that's money well spent. He's a great veteran, helps the young guys. He's not a star, but he'll give you 15 points per game and solid defense every night. So for 24 million or whatever he's making, you can swallow that as a rebuilding team.
Pause.
My bad.
I was seeing people on Twitter just saying, man, all the Kings really got to do is just auto draft and they'd probably do better.
Facts. Facts. That's no lies detected.
Like sometimes just look at the mock draft. Just look at it. Just one time. That's all you
Right?
got to do.
Yeah.
And
But
but
not
I see,
always.
yeah, not always, but and then I see a lot of people too saying, well, the Kings, like Kings fans especially, right? They don't want to feel too bad about the Luka pick. And they're like, well, the Hawks too should feel that way. And I was like, man, at least they got Trae Young.
Trae Young's an all-star. So
Yeah.
that's your vindication right there.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't even know. I like you said, man. I'm kind of just done. I'm done with it. Just
Same
wait, I
here.
guess.
Law of averages. We'll be good eventually, even if it's by stupid random luck. It has to happen.
And I feel like too they were kind of on the right path with maybe bringing in Levine. I think Levine and Fox would have been nice together, but
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Hey, well, we signed him, but he was restricted, so
Yeah,
we did
exactly.
everything we could.
Yeah. Do you see any free agents this offseason that could possibly maybe want to come to the Kings, or the Kings want to just overpay to bring him in?
Would you want to go play for Luke Walton right now?
Is there, if he gets fired, is there any coaches that could potentially come in and do well that are going to be free after the season?
Not that I know of. No, I don't. I don't really keep that on my radar. But there's always talent out there. You just gotta have a good scouting department. Like I said, you gotta have a good, basketball department that can analyze that. And we're also going to be capped out because we have Barnes. We just re-signed Buddy. Bogey's up for extension, and then Fox and Bagley are coming up too in the next 1 or 2 years. So if I were the Kings, I'd actually be conservative with that. I wouldn't really push for any free agents right now.
Okay. And man, I was really looking forward to coming on here and talking about how well De'Aaron was playing, and like I loved his aggressiveness. Like some plays he reminded me of Derrick Rose with the way he was just taking it from
He's developing very well. Yeah.
sideline to sideline. Just man, he's so fast. He has to be top 3 in the league at the speed. So it's very disappointing, but maybe this can push him to be better in the future. I don't know. But I just don't want him to have to carry the team moving forward, because
Right.
he could do it, but of course you never want that to happen. So, and I don't know if he shoots well enough right now to carry the team like a team all by himself. He's going to need talent around him, especially
Yeah.
shooters.
He's getting better though. I think we have one star, and that's usually the hardest thing to do is to get your first star. So
Yeah,
we'll see what we can do from here. But
I'll never forget too, man. I really thought the star was going to be Tyreek Evans.
oh, we all did. He was
Yeah.
balling his rookie year.
He was having like damn near a LeBron James rookie season. Like that shit was really crazy.
hmm Yep, we
So
passed on Steph Curry. That, by the way, in that draft.
at the time,
And
it wasn't a
Giannis.
bad pick.
And Giannis, and Dame Lillard, and Kawhi,
Yeah.
and Klay Thompson. The
And
list
nobody
is much
knew
longer than
about
that.
Giannis though. That was a good catch by the Bucks. Nobody knew about Giannis.
That is true, but Jeff Petrie actually had him in the top 2 on the big board that year. If you remember, that's the year we got McLemore, right? McLemore was
Yeah.
being touted as like a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
He was number 1, evidently left on the draft board that night when we had the 7th pick. Giannis was number 2 because Jeff Petrie, for some reason, discovered Giannis or was high on him. Yeah,
That's
I'd be happier if
unfortunate.
I didn't know that, but there you go. Just another tidbit.
Um, I don't really want to talk about the Kings anymore. I just want
Yeah,
to let
come
them
on.
know that
Let's get out of here.
as people in Sacramento, as Sacramento Kings fans, we're tired of the shit. Figure it out. You know, we got. I mean, every owner in the NBA has got billions of dollars, man. Open up that fucking wallet, like Phil said, man. Get the scouting department fixed up. Get some good coaches in there, and just create a better culture. And if you're gonna blow it up, man, don't fire just the coach or the GM. Do both, and then set up a team where there's actually cohesion, there's actual communication, there's actual chemistry. But I can't even trust that to happen. So we're just gonna move on.
Put Ethan in, man. Ethan's mid range is money. I'm telling you.
Let's go.
I got
Uh,
you.